Welcome back to Still in Love Podcast. This is episode 9 of season 3. Listen, we have a word for you on today. Our topic is, what do you bring to the table? And we've been talking about this, my wife and I, for the last couple of weeks, and this is a hot topic that's been going on in social media world. And so I got these brothers here today because, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear from a male's perspective, and not just mine, but some brothers that love the Lord, their ideas of what should you bring to the table, what we expect you to bring to the table as a woman, and what do we expect to bring to the table. So this is Leonard Richardson. Introduce yourself, my brother.
What's going on? Leonard Richardson. Man, been a member here of Innovation Church since the commencement. Was at another church at the time. Stayed there for a year and then came back. So I've been rocking with Innovation ever since. Educator by profession. Youth ministry by vocation,
Yeah. And so Leonard is a single man. So ladies, if you all out there, we just want you to know that he's single. He loves the Lord first. He's single, and he'll tell a little bit about himself. But he's a great man of God.
Come on,
and he's a unicorn. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And DG, introduce yourself to the people.
How y'all doing? I'm Damian Griffin. I go by DG, gospel rapper. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I have an 11-year-old daughter. I love God. I'm a member of Innovation Church. Been here for about 10 years now, and I'm excited about what God is doing.
All right. Another single young man. How old are you, DG?
32.
32. Single young man, love God, another unicorn. And so we have a married brother on the show, go by the name of Fro. Fro, introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, man. Adrian Fro Johnson, man, a believer, a husband, a father, entrepreneur, preacher, street preacher. You know what I mean? I'm gonna preach that gospel. But grateful to be here. Grateful to be here, preacher.
So this is a conversation that's been trending on social media, and I just want the people today, I want you, our viewers, and those that's listening in, to just hear it from men of God, because sometimes, the world see things a certain way, and I may say something, or other brothers may say something, and sometimes we just don't listen. And so let's talk about it from a kingdom perspective. These are brothers who really love God, and as it relates to, we'll start with this first. Let's talk about just from a male perspective, and I'll start with you, Fro. What should a man bring to the table? We've talked last couple of weeks. We talked about bringing God, and bringing vision, bringing money, bringing a high EQ, communication skills, bringing a home, but just how we bring the table. And so just from any of those topics, I just want you to speak from any of those points in which we bring to the table. I just want you to speak and talk about the importance of what you bring to the table. And Fro has a unique story because he's on his second marriage now, and he'll talk a little bit about what he brought to one table and what he brought to the other table, and just to see the difference in the outcome of his situation. So speak to us, Fro.
Leadership. That's one thing I have learned, even with this second marriage.
Yeah.
Man, leadership is key. We got to bring God for sure.
Yeah.
That's hands down. But leadership, man, I didn't learn just through the years, man. Your family, they feed off your leadership. They learn from your leadership. What they see you do. If you get up in the morning and pray, they gonna pray. If you go to church, they gonna go to church. If you patient, they patient. And if you loving, they loving. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So your leadership, man, is key. You know what I mean? It's what you got to bring. No matter the circumstances, you got to continue to be a leader, a good leader. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like a godly leader. Even no matter what, if it's if you down, I'm still leading. If I'm up, I'm leading. You know what I mean? Like my first marriage, man, I wasn't the best leader. You know what I mean? And I think now in my second marriage, I realized the mistakes I made, and that was not really being a great leader over my wife at the time.
What does that look like? You have brothers that's listening in. What does it look like? And what did it look like in your situation in the first marriage when you say you weren't a great leader?
Yeah, I mean, for one, God was not number one. So that alone was just I'm leading us astray slick. That's how I look at it now. Just without the principles of God, without the following Him, man, it's like just leaning to your own understanding. It's hard. You know what I mean? When you trying to be a leader, but you're leaning to your own understanding. You're not leading to the godly. You know what I'm saying, ways. So for me, man, I was doing my own thing, and you know, and it crashed. You know what I mean? It crashed because I wasn't seeking God. I wasn't following behind what God had for me. I didn't want to believe. I felt like I can do it without Him. You know what I mean? And so my leadership, I know my leadership skills weren't there because it was no patience for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm making the woman scared of me. You know what I mean? Like I'm king facing. I'm intimidating her. You know what I mean? Like God is love and patience. You know what I mean? Like I'm not doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? And so with me not doing none of that, it's consequences to your actions when you live like that. You know what I mean? Divorce and separation will come your way. You know what I'm saying? Like so it is that me learning about being able to be a leader. You know?
So when we talk about a table, so you know we spoke before about as a man we're to bring the table. Mm-hmm. So what did you bring to your first marriage? What kind of table did you bring? Yeah,
man, that table was raggedy, man. That table had 3 legs. You know what I mean? That table was, me and her both was trying to keep that table up. You know what I mean? And that was already out of order. Yeah. You got her trying to help keep the table up too. Man. When the table should have already been at least standing.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean? It didn't have to be just perfect, but it at least need to be standing on its own. You know what I mean? So she trying to help me keep the table standing. So I'm sitting here with this table that's leaning, and she trying to help me, but I'm bringing more pressure and more stress on her because my table leaning. You know what I mean? So the things that where we should have been, we couldn't be at the time because she trying to help me fix my table.
Come
you know what I mean? So even just coming to a situation of marriage with a broken table is hard in itself. You know what I mean? Like I said, it don't have to be perfect, but it's like it need to be together. It need to be steady. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And so I'm gonna be real. You know, my table wasn't that. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting here with a wife and kids, a child, and man, with the table leaning. Wow. You know what I mean?
So tell us a little bit about your second marriage. Mm-hmm. And so how did you tell us about your table in the second marriage?
Oh yeah. So the table in the second marriage, man, I learned. You know what I mean. You learn from when you drop the ball. You know what I mean. So I knew that it was some things that I needed to have together. Yeah. You know what I mean. And even when I think about the table isn't just so much material. It's not just material things. Come on. You know what I'm saying? It's just spiritual things too. So in my second marriage, I'm way more patient. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm way more loving. I'm way more understanding. Yeah. So my first marriage, it's some things she may have done, that I'm flying off the handle way quicker than you know what I'm saying, than I've ever, you know what I mean? Like I'm going in on that first marriage. Second marriage, it's like, baby, you good. I understand. You know what I'm saying? I'm more like, baby, you good. I ain't tripping about them dishes. You know what I'm saying? It ain't. I know how to weigh my battles now. Yeah. Because my table is together. Yeah. So since my table is together, I know what battles to fight in the ones I'm gonna let ride. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not even tripping on you about that. You know what I mean? So when that table got together, it's a lot of things that came with that table that reflected me as being a godly man. So she saw that. They're like, okay, cool. This man here, you know, he understands. He's patient. He's
Yeah.
loving. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
he's willing to sacrifice. He's willing to work with me. You know what I mean? Like, and it really came from my table being together.
Makes a difference.
You know, it makes a big difference when
Yes,
that
sir.
table together.
Yes,
and when that
sir.
table ain't together, man, we scratching and kicking and fighting and man trying to biting and trying to hold on. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know, so you know, it's a beautiful thing when that table is together for sure.
Yeah. Leonard, talk to us, man, about just the importance of bringing God and vision to the table.
Hey man, it's absolutely necessary. So of course I shared before, and I just remember beforehand, you know, before I was just introduced to, you know, living godly. Man, it's, you know, it made no sense to me. You know what I'm saying? To find a woman that's kingdom, or you know what I'm saying, that loves the Lord. And so I often used to fight against you. And again, it was just, you know, saying from a place of ignorance, you know, saying on my behalf. But I found out the hard way. It's like, yeah. So if you're gonna remain in God, if you're gonna do kingdom work, you and your mate, you all both have to be, you know, saying kingdom. It's she can't be, you know, saying creeping through the door. I just go to church sometimes, pay my tithes sometimes, and it's like that ain't finna work. You know what I'm saying? That ain't finna work at all. And the thing that stuck out to me, man, was just an illustration that Dr. Ben used during one of our men's retreat. So he made an illustration of a pyramid. So of course, you know, so the base of the pyramid is what, you know, saying you all have in common. But going up the side of the pyramid, of course, you know, it's your relationship, you know, say with Christ. So of course, y'all don't have to be, you know, saying neck and neck, but you can be here, you know, saying at Christ, and she's still down at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's a struggle.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing when I first started doing ministry, because I'm getting closer to God, and I know that I am, but I'm dealing with girls who don't necessarily have the same thought pattern, not trying to do the same things that I'm trying to do, you know what I'm saying, in terms of their spirituality in Christ. So they still, you know, carnal, you know what I'm saying, in a lot of sense. So things that I'm not wanting to do, that's the things that they want to do. And they're like, oh, and so if you get with that person, they're going to end up pulling you if you stay around them long enough. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't convince a person, you know what I'm saying, how to see Christ the way that you see him. Of course, you can tell them, you know what I'm saying, you tell them, and then, you know what I'm saying, that's it. But you can't make them, you know what I'm saying, see it. So I'm thinking that my good light, my good work going to do something in them, you know what I'm saying, to make them begin to see it. And it's like, you fighting a losing battle.
Yeah. So the importance of what are you doing now in the meantime? So you're not married now. And so in the meantime, in terms of building your table, what are some of the things you're doing to build your table?
Man, I am stacking my cheddar. Cause that was a big thing for me. And just early on, and I thought about this here. I was afraid of marriage, and I used to always tell Pastor Myron, it's like you gonna have to talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I had seen and I thought about, you know what I'm saying, why I felt that way, and it's because I had seen divorce so much in my family, and I'm like, and it was like divorce after 8 years, 9 years, and 2 kids in the house. I'm like,
Yeah.
like, this ain't no, you know what I'm saying, young people getting divorced after 2 years. I'm like, man, they established. So I'm like, man, if they doing it like that, it's like, man, I don't want to be in that predicament. And so I'm seeing it like occur more than one time. Yeah. And so I was just real standoffish. So I used to like hound Pastor Myron. I'm like, man, you got to tell me something. I'm like, man, what is in this marriage thing? And so one of my things now, and I feel like that I'm over that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that I'm over that now because I'm seeing, you know what I'm saying, things through, you know what I'm saying, God's light. It's like, okay, if you're going to have a marriage, it got to be, you know what I'm saying, from me and through me. And so that's one of the main things that I'm doing. And Fro touched on it, just so leadership is a big thing of mine. You know what I'm saying? Being able to lead yourself. If you can lead yourself, then you'll be able to lead somebody else. So that's the top thing that I'm on. Just leadership, you know what I'm saying? Reading the John Maxwell books, practicing leadership, you know what I'm saying, with myself, so that when I do acquire a mate in the family, then I, you know what I'm saying, have that confidence and that assurance that I can lead, you know what I'm saying, lead a household. Of course, you know what I'm saying, my finances, credit scores in order, making sure that I'm, you know what I'm saying, understand how to live by a budget, you know what I'm saying, having a system in place. You know, that's the main thing. Just making sure, you know, just projecting my life, you know what I'm saying, where do I want to be, you know what I'm saying, 10, 15, 20 years from now, and writing it out, you know what I'm saying, having a mission statement, you know what I'm saying, for my own life. So when she comes, and the thing that comes to mind is, I think it's Matthew 6 or Matthew 7, where he talks about the house being built on a rock. And so that's my rock, you know what I'm saying? It's like making sure, so, because when stuff, of course, stuff, you know, life is going to happen. But when it happens, it's like, oh no, he's solid. So yeah, I need that woman to know she made a solid choice.
Come on, man. That's right. That's it. DG, what are some of the things that you're doing, DG, that in terms of building your table? So there's a lot of people out here listening, and and I want them to hear. And I brought you on, you know, because I see you as a young man, just working on your table, building your table, adding value to yourself. Just talk about some of the things that you're doing in the meantime until you find that wife.
Some of the things I'm doing in the meantime, until she come, is I'm just working on my finances, just building vision for myself and for my daughter. Just leading myself well is one of the things I'm really intentional about. Because my occupation, I'm an operations supervisor, so I have to lead a team of people. But you say it oftentimes that, you know, we have to lead ourselves well before we lead others. So I'm really big on that now with leading me, because I got a daughter who's watching me, you know. So that's one thing that I'm doing. And just in my singleness, I've been reading books. I read a book by John Maxwell. It's called 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. So it's things like that that's helping me along the way. But the thing is, I'm not doing it for the wife. I'm doing it for me. So even if he don't send the wife, like, I'm still gonna be solid in him. We talk about just having a relationship with God. And that's something I've been intentional about since I was 22 years old. Like, just my walk started here at Innovation Church. And just my hunger and fire for God has been, you know, I believe it's been evident. So, you know, I do things like just read my word in my private time, just really working on my relationship with God, and not just being a hearer of the word, but actually being a doer of the word. So I'm just really in a season of application. I was telling someone the other day, like, I don't just want to read the Bible. Like, I really want to live what his words say. Like, that's my whole intent. So, like, what I bring to the table is God, like a godly foundation. Like, this is stuff I didn't see growing up. Like, my mother and father didn't have a godly relationship. So what I saw was a broken table. Growing up, you made a post the other day, and the table was dismantled and just on the ground. Like, that's the type of table that I seen growing up. Like, the type of table that I seen was a table you fold up and you can take anywhere with you. You know, and that became my table. You know, I can fold this table up and I can go wherever I want to go. So, you know, just working on my emotional intelligence as well.
That's
like,
good. Look, I want you to speak on that, because that's one of the things that we talk about that we should bring to the table. And ladies out there that's looking to be found by a husband, we talk, make sure that he has a solid table, because look who you're connecting yourself to. He need God, he need vision, he need finance, he need a home, he need communication skills and EQ. So I want you to just dive right into that. The EQ, that's emotional quotient, and the importance of that. Why are you working on that? How does that benefit you? I just want you to speak to that.
I'm working on my emotional intelligence, and I've been just really intentional about that, because the things I saw growing up was dysfunction. It was very dysfunctional in my household. My mother, you know, and I love her dearly, but the way she dealt with conflict was very unhealthy. Like, we saw knives being thrown and plates being thrown. So the way that conflict was dealt with was, you know, somebody gonna fight or somebody gonna end up in the hospital. I remember one time we was leaving from somebody's house we was staying with, and the way my mother communicated was she wrote letters. So, you know, back then phones wasn't, you know, like it is now. So her way of communication was, I'm finna write this letter. Look, I'm finna leave. Yeah, I'm gone. And I can remember plain this day. She just wrote the letter to the lady, left it in her dresser, and we left. And her way of communication became my way of communication, but it was in a different form. Like the way I would communicate is I would freeze, or I just wouldn't communicate at all, or I communicate through text message, and like just the way I dealt with things wasn't healthy either though, because like I would find myself getting aggressive. So I had to really work on my emotional intelligence. Because the Bible tells us that, you know, the Apostle Paul, he said that, you know, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. He said, but when I became a man, I put the childish things behind me. I think the problem is we become adults, but we still function like children.
Come on, boy.
I had to realize that I was still functioning like a child, even though I was an adult. And it stemmed from my childhood. What I noticed was that my emotions or just my I wasn't secure in myself because I felt like something was wrong with me because my mother, she used to receive checks for me, and just the way I dealt with it, I would lash out, or if somebody just pointed out or insecure or pointed or just poked a spot, it would make that 13-year-old rise up again, or that 5, because it started when I was 5. So I would go back to that because you challenging me on that or on a thought made me feel insecure. So now I'm lashing out or I'm being a little aggressive, you know. So I've realized that I didn't deal with that 5-year-old. So that 5-year-old, I was grown physically, but mentally I was still operating like a 5-year-old. So I had to deal with that child in me and really work on my emotions because I was still impacted by how I felt as a 5-year-old. Like, why my mama getting checks for me? Am I slow? Like, but then I had to challenge that because the Bible tells us to be renewed by be transformed by the renewal of our mind. And I had to renew my mind, and I can only do that by the word of God. So I was able to deal with my emotions just by that having that table built.
Wow. So look, you says I want you to finish this thought. So you went back to your childhood and how you felt insecure in your childhood because, you know, your mom got a check for you, so you thought that you were slow, and you ended up, I want you to talk about your high school and what happened in high school and what you're doing right now.
So I dropped out of high school. I was doing I wasn't doing the best just throughout my school year, but high school I was really focused, especially my senior year. But I ended up dropping out because I got distracted. So I went back to school in 2015. So I went to a adult high school to finish my education. So I ended up graduating in 2016.
2016. And now what are you working on now?
I'm in college. I'm in college working on a degree in management and business.
So the work doesn't stop. And so talking about building your table is you're going back and tearing down the old altars, tearing down the old ideologies and thought processes and building something new now, bringing it to the table, man. That's powerful. That's powerful, man. For I want you to talk about communication and the importance of communication in a marriage. You know, just in a marriage, in a relationship, the importance of a man knowing how to communicate and bringing that to the table.
Man, my communication learning skills started real early with my mama hiding at her live-in boyfriend. So I learned how to communicate the wrong way, and that was by hollering, by talking loud. You know, I watched her be aggressive, you know, and I took that into my first marriage, being aggressive. Like I said earlier, just about dealing with intimidation. So communicating, I believe, is a great tool to be able to win your spouse over. I believe that you can win your spouse over by having good communication skills. When you can communicate right. when you're not hostile, when you're not loud, when you're not hollering, when you're not when you're not intimidating somebody. Because when you can't communicate, it make things a lot more easier in a marriage. Like I done seen some marriages just talking to some men, and when you can't communicate, it make things fuzzy and difficult. When you just can't say what you want or say what you need, or you can't say what I'm asking you to do. And not only that, even if that person does not do what you like them to do, and you can't communicate that, it makes conflict. You know what I mean? You it's just a lot of conflict. So it's very important to be able to communicate. You know, I tell my wife all the time, whatever it is that you're asking from me, say it. You know what I mean? Like, say it. Like, don't, like, it. We can take the long road by not communicating right. You know what I mean? Now you want me to figure out what it is you thinking, or you want me, because men, you know, sometimes, you know, that's how we can be. It's like, you know what I mean? Babe, you got to tell me. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me know. You know what I mean? Because if you don't let me know and you're not communicating, man, it could fly over my head. You know what I mean? Now I'm sitting here trying to figure out why you upset or why you quiet, and you was like, well, I thought you knew. Like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to say it. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about XYZ and taking care of the house and bills or whatever it is, and you know, you want your feet rubbed or your back rubbed, like, and you feel like that I should know that. Like, I done hopped in the bed, you know what I'm saying? Like, say it, you know what I mean? And now you up all night staring at the wall, thinking I'm being, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, communicate, because when I want some, I'm gonna let you know, man, I need that.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to get that. You feel me? So, man, communicating is a key part, man. Like, communication is, man, like, we ain't doing sign languages over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need you to tell me what it is we doing, unless we got some side communication, which me and my wife got some side stuff that we can communicate without talking, and I know what time, whatever it is, you feel me? So, but other than that, it's like, no, we gotta communicate. So communicating is one of those main top 3 things you need. You know, God first, and we need to communicate, and we need leadership. You know what I mean? So you know, we gotta communicate for sure.
So tell me this: who are you, DG? Who are you without God? You see, because sometimes we underestimate that, and we have some ladies here that's listening in, that's watching, that love the Lord. They love the Lord, and they looking to be found by a man. But sometimes they think that I can bypass this. He can just go to church, but he ain't really got to love God. Tell me who you are without the Lord.
Complete mess. I'm a complete mess. I'm a worldly rapper. You know, what that looks like is I'm somebody that raps about drugs and, you know, sex and all of that outside of marriage. Without God, I would be a good daddy, but I wouldn't be a kingdom daddy. So my daughter wouldn't pray. She wouldn't be in her word. You know, I wouldn't have, like, her table would have no legs if I was just a good daddy. You know what I mean? Without God, I wouldn't be celibate. I would probably have a STD right now, you know, without God. You know, I would more than likely be in jail. I would be in jail without God. So without God, what that looks like for me is a life that's full of disaster, chaos, and just my attitude wouldn't be on point, because the Holy Spirit wouldn't check me when I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Because I learned just from a biblical aspect, even if you didn't wrong somebody, but if they felt like you offended them, it's your job to go to that person and get it right. But if I didn't have a godly foundation, I wouldn't have the maturity or the EQ to even be able to properly deal with it. You know what I mean? So without God, I'm just somebody that's out here that's just doing whatever and living however I want to. Like, my daughter wouldn't see me being a single man and operating in integrity. She would see women in and out of my apartment. You know, I would be spending money recklessly. I would just be a man that's not leading. like I would be just out here just wilding out for real. So that's what it would look like for me.
Leonard, without God.
Man, without God, as DG said, a hot mess, a monster. Just pretty much just doing what I want to do. And when DG was talking, the thing that often comes to mind is the thought of, a man without God within a relationship. You got you a monster. So that woman got a monster for real, because it's when he know who he is in God, that's the thing that keeps him, under wraps. But if he doesn't have that understanding, he taking the woman down through there. It's just any and everything, talking to her any kind of way, treating her any kind of way, putting his hands on her, because he doesn't know. But I often think about too, just my salvation story, how I just came to Christ to this point now. Because I was working and I was going to school. God just really just intervened, just snapped all of that. It was like, So long story short. So I ended up, resigning from the place of where I was working at the time. I withdrew from school to do ministry full time. And I just think back, it's like, man, had I stayed on that path, it's like, I would have. I probably would have been married, divorced. I would have had a lot of money, but I wouldn't have no happiness. You know what I'm saying? It'd just be me just wilding out. Just doing whatever. Without God, it's a monster.
Yeah, Fro, without God, Fro, what kind of husband would you be?
Yeah, man. I'd be a beast. I'd be hard on you. You know what I mean? Like I was like that before Christ. I was hard on them. So it's some dudes out here that even before Christ, they still know how to be the lover boy.
Yeah.
Know how to still woo the woman.
Yeah.
That never was me. Either we gonna do it or you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can roll. If you ain't, I ain't trying to win you over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would be that would be the same husband. Like I would be that. I'm not trying to win my wife over. I'm not trying to woo her. Like if you want to leave, you can roll. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to follow what I got going on, like you can get on down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to get you to stay. If you don't want to be here, then go. You know what I mean? So that type of husband, the type of husband that is on something else. Like I don't, when it come to family, like I feel like that even if you want to live with my kids, I love my kids, but you do what you gotta do. I ain't trying to make you stay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and so just thinking about that type of husband without God, like that's a terrible sight. That's a terrible situation to be that type of husband where you really don't really have no love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I say, even before Christ, I won that guy. Like I didn't when it came to women, like when me and my partners doing what we doing, it's like you with it or you ain't. Like I ain't trying to tell you pretty. I ain't trying to win you like that.
Yeah.
Like what time this is. So I would be that exact same husband.
Yeah.
That even when it come to my wife. I seen it in my family with some of my family members, that kind of run deep in my family where we just can be some mean, hard people. You know what I mean? Like I didn't seen it with some of my folks, like, who not married anymore because of that. You really hard. Like you just got a hard situation. Like you're not loving. You know what I mean? Like, and so I know that without Christ, I would be a hard husband. I would be hard.
Yeah, man. That's I think about sometimes just and I don't even like thinking about it. Just without Christ, I knew that I know that I couldn't be faithful to my wife without Christ. I mean, it's just I would have no desire to be faithful. So I'm faithful because of God. I love my wife, but my commitment to God keep me faithful to my wife. My commitment to God have me making the decisions that I make. Toward my wife. Toward my life and how I go about my business because of God. And it's so many brothers that enter into relationships and so many women who enter into relationships with brothers who don't know the Lord because they what they value. Ladies, if you're listening, make sure that your top value is God and not a man that go to church
Yeah.
Not a man who can talk a good game, who got a little money. Not a man who has a great job. All of that's gravy. But make sure that he knows the Lord. That he knows the Lord, that he has a relationship with God. Because the word of God says that if you're harsh with your wife, men, then your prayers will be hindered. So it's kingdom brothers who know that I can't go. It's a certain place, a certain level that I can only go to before God deal with me. So even if I want to click, I can't click how I want to click. I can't say what I want to say. I can't do what I want to do because I really love God.
Yeah.
And every time I want to get wrong, he convicts me. And I don't want my prayers to be hindered. So I'm going to treat you right because of my love for God.
Come on,
but when
man.
brothers don't
Come on.
understand that,
Come
or they
on,
don't
man.
live by that principle,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Come on,
I don't fear God.
Yeah.
I don't care. God ain't, I don't, he ain't checking me. I do what I want to do. And so many people end up in divorce court because of that very reason, because they don't value God.
Come on, man.
And so, gentlemen, this was good today, man. This was good today,
Amen.
man. Just,
Amen.
what do you bring to the table? And I just wanted people to hear, just from some single brothers, married brother, just what's important that a woman should look for a man, what he should bring to the table. What are some things that she should really look for? And it's God, vision, leadership, a home, finances, good credit score, high EQ, communication skills.
Yeah.
These things are important. If you don't have all of those, make sure you got God. But if you ain't got all of them, make sure you got most of them. So that's what's so important. And so what do you bring to the table? So if you're listening and you're not married, because some of y'all listening now and you're like, well, I'm married and my husband don't bring this to the table. And so what should I do? We ain't telling you to get out your marriage. Do not get out your marriage. You pray to the Lord and understand that a wise woman build her house.
Yeah.
And with her own hands, a foolish woman, she tears it down. So don't tear it down and say, you don't bring emotional quotient. You don't bring finance. You don't bring this. And so I got a way out. No, that's not a requirement, or that's not it doesn't give you the right to go outside of your marriage or to terminate your marriage because he don't possess these things. We're talking to those who hadn't been married yet, and this is what you're looking for. And if you're looking for, these are the things that you want to look for in a man.
Yeah.
And those that's married, you just got to pray that he build that muscle up. These brothers are grown men. They're not 19. They're not 17. These brothers are grown men, and they're consistently working on themselves.
Amen. Come
Fro
on,
is
man.
married. I'm married. I'm consistently working on myself,
Yeah.
adding value to myself. Yeah. I encourage you men, I encourage you ladies, that how important it is to add value to you. And the more value that you add to yourself, then everything that you connect with, you add value to it.
Amen.
So when I add value to me, because I add value to me, if we're connected, I'm going to add value to you. If we're connected, I'm going to add value. I add value to my family because I'm adding value to myself.
Yeah.
And so
that's good.
this has been good. This has been good. So we got to come back with a part 2. We got to come back with a part 2. I think it's going to get gooder and gooder. Listen, this is it for today. Episode 9 of What Do You Bring to the Table? And if my wife was here, she'll say the second part, but I ain't gonna let Leonard say it. I'm just gonna say it. Don't just start in love, but stay in love. We'll see you next week. God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Still in Love podcast. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode and it has indeed blessed your life. If it has, we need you to do 3 things for us. 1, we want you to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform so that way you can be notified when a new episode drops. Number 2, we want you to review it. Click on that 5-star and let us know how much you enjoyed it. We absolutely love feedback here at the Still in Love podcast, and this helps us to make sure that we are scratching where there's an itch. And number 3, we want you to share it with a friend or family member. Also, if you have a question, we'd love to hear it and even talk about it right here on the podcast. You can submit those questions at stillinlovepodcast.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Innovation Church Memphis and on TikTok at We Are Innovation. Until next time, peace.
Don't just start in love,
But stay in love.
thanks for tuning in to Still in Love podcast. God bless.